all those skills are developed from, so this is just a small summary. All these skills are developed from our Luksao and our Chisao training. Now, you can use, we've already done it, but the analogies that are good to use for your, we've already done a lot of exercises, but a good analogies to use is the ball in water. That's the best analogy, one of the best analogies is the big bucket of water. You've all heard it before, but imagine it in your mind, right? You've got a ball on top of that water, and as you push that ball, it spins, it spins, it spins. That's literally what your arms are like, a spinning, not that type of ball, Jason, a spinning ball in water, yeah? Another analogy is that, another analogy is a ball rolling down a hill. You set up the structures and the stance, which is the ball. You let the ball roll down the hill, and whatever terrain it meets, it rolls. It keeps rolling down the end and the bottom of the hill, which is their center. Their center is the bottom of the hill. Okay, so we've got all those exercises there, but we've done them all last week, so there's not really a need to. So what I'll do instead is I'll get you guys to go through those points in that first paragraph with a partner and try to explain to them each point. So how does Wing Chun develop subconscious reflex? How does it develop sensitivity? How does it develop conscientiousness under pressure? How does it develop spontaneous fighting technique? How does it develop condition and domination of opponent? How does it work on intelligent tracking and placing of mass, and also the ability to read opponents? So I didn't mention that last one. The ability to read opponents is, I forgot to jump on that one, is that because you're so used to, this is linked to subconscious reflex, right? Because you're so used to human bodies, right? You know how they move and feel because you're touching them so often, right? Not in that way, Jason. You're touching them so often, you can read what an opponent's going to do. So even from here, as soon as he has a micro movement, so move towards it, we know, okay, he's coming in this direction, so I know where to put my arms now, yeah? So you can just read an opponent quite easily, yeah? Cool. Alrighty. Grab a partner, explain those points on three. Sorry?
I just have a question.
All right, questions first.
Just because we've got the ball on water, so the ball has structure, but it doesn't have any sort of intent other than to keep its shape, and it just spins in response. But then earlier today you talked about, okay, now you can turn the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the analogy of that? Can you think of an analogy for the ball turning itself?
Sure. So if you look at the buoyancy of the water, that would give it the direction. So the buoyancy is what's keeping it up. So you could think of me directing it as like the buoyancy of the water. So as you push on me, I decide to let it spin this way. You know? That gives it the forwardness, I suppose. But in regards to you controlling it, okay, if I had to give it an analogy, it's a remote control ball. So you can actually, inside the ball, you've got a mechanism which allows you to speed up the direction to their center.
It's a gyro.
Yeah, it's more of a gyro. So you can, so for example, if I'm just thinking purely ball shape and Jono goes on the attack towards me, yeah, come on, go on the attack, yeah. It's just, come on, put it on, yeah. Don't be shy, put it on, yeah. It just spins how it wants, right? I'm not thinking left, right, up, down, degree, 36 degrees angle. I'm just letting it spin how it spins, right? Keep going, keep going. And then if we're thinking more control mechanism, generally speaking, it's more I just aim it towards him, yeah? Generally speaking, you aim it to them so that it becomes a striking mechanism, yeah? And then if you're thinking more about just control, keep going, yeah? You keep it, I would always make sure I put on that striking mechanism so you're connected to their center, but then you just move the arms how you want, yeah? So you're keeping it on them, but then you're also moving where you want. So it's like the ball is now a human with intention. I suppose the ball, I know what the analogy I'd have to give that came to my mind then was that the ball was created in this workshop, right? By an old Italian man who also created Pinocchio. I'm a real ball! And now the ball has intent. Because you want to be able to let it flow naturally, but you also want to direct the flow. So it'd be like you're the DJ turning up the dials of parts of the state, right? There's layers to that. That's a really good question because there's layers. The first layer is you decide to move your arm in whatever way you want. The second layer is, which I don't even know if anyone will grasp this, is that you turn up your intention and watch what happens. So you turn up your intention of state and watch where your hands move. Yeah, because essentially we all manifest from our intent. Everything is manifesting spontaneously. This is the big one. That's a really intelligent question, because he's looking at two different laws of the universe. He's looking at essentially cause and effect and spontaneous manifestation. Meaning, cause and effect is I blew like that, right? And this dust flew away. So me blowing on that dust made the dust go away, right? So I caused an effect, right? But from another level, if you guys weren't here, would I have done that? If the barometric pressure of the earth and the evolution of human consciousness over time didn't bring us to this point, would I have been able to do that? So did I cause that effect, or was that moment manifesting spontaneously right then and there? So the reason I use that analogy is because there's two layers to Jono's question. He was saying, how do we get this ball in water thing going even though you're using intention to move, right? One layer is that you think, oh, I do this. That's cause and effect, right? I'm causing an effect because I'm doing a latch here, I'm doing a dice out here, I'm connecting. So there's a doingness or an illusion of doingness, because another option is to just level up your state and watch what happens anyway, which is actually what's happening. That's a confusing one probably for most of us, yeah? Because, yeah, basically you go from a linear understanding of time and space to a non-linear understanding. And that's another way of describing it, meaning things manifest spontaneously. Us watching it and projecting labels onto it make us think that it happens in a linear sequence, in cause and effect way. I'm trying to approach this in many ways. So if we look at this, let's look at it from the analogy here. Because that's a smart question, you know. He's thinking, okay, we're supposed to be a ball in water, but how come I'm now trying to control it? So it's a good question, right? And the first layer is that you are the ball in water and you just aim forward, right? So you aim forward, but then you decide, okay, I want to go this way, I want to go this way, I want to go this way. So that's a layer. But what is deciding I want to go this way? Is it me deciding I want to go this way? Or is it my potential manifesting in that moment? There's something underneath it. See what I'm getting at? So then I'm asking you to go to the intention underneath the action. So rather than, okay, I want to go this way and I want to go this way, what's the intention here? Okay, I'm just going to go into my state to the highest possible degree and then let those things happen by themselves and observe. So the difference could be consciously doing to observation. Yeah? They're two layers of the same thing. One is me consciously doing this, yeah? The other one is I just go into state and observe John doing this. But the results look the same to you. But the way I feel inside is different. Because one I'm trying, the other one I'm going into state and observing. Get it? The one that's more, to me at the moment, more real is state and observation. Because, yes, the intent changes. One is my intention is on the external cause and effect. I want to do this. The other one is the intention of watching. You know, so I'm just watching.
And just letting it in the moment.
Yeah, I find that one better, more relaxing, more flowy, because I believe, in my opinion, that that's more the nature of reality, that our potential is manifesting moment to moment. But we like to think that we're causing an effect, which puts us in a linear sequence. But in my opinion, that slows things down. If you want to go deeper into that, please read the book Power versus Force. And another good book to go deep into that would be Eye of the I and I by Dr. Hawkins, 2 books up there, where he talks about because each level of, this is deeper shit, that question was great. Each level of consciousness, think of it as a different paradigm and worldview. Each level of reality, right? They're levels of reality. One is cause and effect, another is spontaneous manifestation. One is linear sequencing, one is non-linear. Yeah? Once you the idea is that once you go over the level of 500, which is into the lovingness energy, non-linear reality reveals itself to you. It's no longer if this causes this causes this. The example is, this is the example I always use, and this will help you to get what I'm trying to communicate here. If a person is on the side of the road bleeding and hurting, right, in pain, and an angry, hateful person walks past them, they'll probably, sorry? Oh yeah, okay. Oh. They will probably kick them, take their wallet, right? That's what level that person's at, right? If a loving, caring, compassionate person walks past them, they might stop, help them, and take them to hospital. Now, on the surface level, we see actions, we see cause and effect. We saw this person took that person to the hospital and helped them. This person kicked them in the head and hurt them more. You see a sequence, a linear sequence. But what was behind the action was their level of energy. The hateful person had hateful energy, and that's how it manifests in that given situation. The loving person had loving energy, that's how it manifests in that situation. So, that's some deep layers to Jono's question, but I try to answer it as best as I can, because the analogy would be the ball is still there, but the intention then becomes, where am I directing that ball? It's like you can control gravity in a way, My intention is where I direct the ball, and am I looking at it from the perspective of controlling where I want the ball to go, or am I maintaining my connection to the person, letting it go as powerful as possible, and watching what happens? Do you see the difference there? Yeah. Observation and state, trying to control what's happening. They're the two different perspectives of what's going on. I feel it's more true that it's observation. I feel like that's actually what's happening. Because even when I'm trying to do it, the observer can still watch. Now I'm going a bit deeper for you.
So travelling the speed of light, which is linear,
yeah.
Travelling the speed of space, which just goes...
I don't know, but I can understand the analogy. Any other questions on that? It's a bit of a head fuck.
Well, just to take a step back in regards to manifestation, do you mean what manifestation of what will happen in reality? Is in, it's not like A plus B equals C. You're talking about if a bad person does X, Y, and Z to the person lying on the ground, they bring negative energy, and there's a manifestation of their behaviour. I just can't sort of grasp what you meant by the term manifestation. Are you talking about?
Yeah, sure.
What's going to happen in reality?
I mean manifestation. Okay, sure. I mean manifestation in relationship to potential, meaning the potential within someone manifests according to the situation. So the situation that we were talking about was the person bleeding and hurt on the floor. As the angry person walked past them, that brought out the manifestation of their potential as an angry person, right? And then the loving person, that brought, because if the person on the floor wasn't there, they wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? So there'd be no situation to bring out that potential. Yeah. It's like a seed, right? A seed has a potential. Like if it's an orange seed, the potential of it is to grow to an orange tree, right? That's its potential. Yeah? If it has the right conditions, it needs to be planted and watered and sun. But if it's an apple seed, it's not going to be an orange tree.
In water, people sort of understand the passage of the ball has to have a structure. It doesn't, anticipate what's going to happen and just reacts to whatever. Same with the ball rolling downhill, pretty similar. But then, in terms of I want to move the ball to
sure.
here.
There's a fan behind the ball now, blowing it in certain directions. Yes. And you're controlling the fan. Go that way, fucking ball, and go that way.
What I see when people attempt to do this, because they want to move the person that way. So, if they want to move the person that way. So they have an intent. They have a fan. What happens when it doesn't work?
Two things can happen. Show you. So, good question. So, what happens there is they either stop rolling down the hill, right, and then they do this, so it doesn't work, right? But if I keep rolling down the hill and I do this, then it's going to work because I've still got the connection there, right? That's one thing that could happen. Or as I'm going there, I keep rolling down the hill and I go to do it. Jono goes limp, but then I do this then because I'm still rolling down the hill. Get it? So there's two things that can happen. Either you stop rolling down the hill and you fuck it up, right? Or they go limp as you go to take them away, and then you should come through and keep rolling down the hill. Does that make sense?
So if you aim at their center, then they have no choice, as you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
They have no choice but to react back in a certain way, which then
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, they're going to get hit. So if you stop coming back to my center as I move, so if you stop here, see how now I can open up through, bang, bang, But if you keep coming to my center as I move, then I'm going to be able to take you, because you have to. Otherwise, I'll hit you. The hard part is making sure you maintain that connection as you move. Because a lot of the time, when you start to move in different directions, you take it, I'm not on him at all anymore. I'm going this way. Because another way to separate that and understand it is you're controlling the energy body and the physical body. So my energy body is staying connected to you. So if you imagine rays of light going to his center, the energy body is staying on him as my physical body does something different. So I stay on him as my physical body moves. So there's two bodies. And the energetic body stays connected to them via intention. Sensing, syncing, aiming, that stays on. So the state stays on. So you can imagine I've got a light prism or cone that's just on as I do all of this stuff. So you start to put it into all the different movements, right? So that when you make contact with them, you still have that connection. You see it messes with this center because I've still got that on while I move, as opposed to if I turn it off and nothing happens now.
So
Nothing happens.
What would be, so you're the ball that's getting stuff done to it, and it's sort of like gone off and you've got a bit out of balance and stuff. What's a good way to get back into your...
Yeah, sure. There are several ways. Firstly, you can be cheeky and just break off, recenter, come back, and then that's a cheeky way. So I'm off balance, right? Jono's got me off balance, and I'm getting messed up. You just break off, center, and come back. So that's one way to regain it. Another way is that take my balance again. He's got my center and my balance. I can recenter and bring my balance back on under pressure, which is another good way to practice. So they're the two main ways: recenter and connect whilst under the pressure, or just quick break, get back in, back in. Another thing that's actually very useful that you'll want to take note is most often people make contact and they're not in state yet. You should be in state before you make contact. As soon as you think, okay, I'm going to, be engaging with the person, state should be on. So that as soon as you touch, you're not setting shit up. You're not going, okay, center, relax my shoulders, feel my leg. It should already be there. So there's three ways. Already be in state. Number two, whilst you're being messed with, do it during. Another way, break off, reset, come back in. Cool. All right. Any questions there, folks?
The question that Jono asked, like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Spontaneous, what do you call it?
Manifestation.
Spontaneous manifestation.
Exactly, of the potential within Jono and this room and in all of us, that just came out. It's an interesting concept to play around with, because when you really start to dive into the concept of spontaneous manifestation, you'll realize that everything's different than you think it is. Everything's just manifesting moment to moment, from whatever potential is within a person, as opposed to cause and effect. I am making this happen. It's a different way of looking at life. It's a nicer, more relaxing way of looking at it. Everything's just manifesting moment to moment. And it could be anything. What influences the manifestation is intention. So that's the fan behind the ball. Your intention influences the manifestation, because you can go up or down in your level of energy, if that makes sense.